think that it's on LNG to find a better way to convert those early game leads into something more substantial in the mid game.
And here we are in the Champion Select brought to you by
No jo, ne Aurora trade nebude už.
We've also had pretty big differences in the level 1s and the lane swaps coming out.
True.
For both of the games, actually, on opposite sides. So we'll keep our eye on the level 1s, on those lane swaps. Not going to get the Yone Aurora trade this time around. Right back to business as usual here.
And we are Rumble and Nico banned away as well, alongside the Silas by Weibo.
So
this is exactly where they went in game 1.
Skana ban though, this time around.
Skana ban from LNG does make sense. It is Xiaohu's 105th world game. He's passing death for second place, obviously only behind Faker, as we see the Ashe locked in here for Weibo.
Okay, so last time in game number 1, when they picked the Ashe, I got super excited for the possibility of a Tarzan Nidalee.
Yes,
and this time, they don't already have a jungle champ. So
we're bringing the excitement back.
So we're bringing it back, baby.
The Nocturne gonna be the instant lock-in for Weibo. Will we see the Orianna paired alongside it?
Za mě je mnohem lepší Nocturne
This
first
is what LNG went for in game 1, right?
Exactly.
They didn't want the Orianna, instead they wanted
They're doing a bit of a salty run back here. With the Skana being removed, they're saying you're now losing one of your frontline components. We believe in our ability to gain access onto the backline, but the idea is the same. A lot of dive, a lot of backline threat, potential picks on the side lane. As a Weibo now looking to grab Gnar for themselves.
Oh. It's just Gnar and a jungler, or do you look towards the Orianna, which we saw from Xiaohu in game 1?
Well, remember in game 1 we saw the Renekton prioritized from LNG. By early rotating the Gnar for Breathe, you're kind of dissuading the Renekton pick, perhaps forcing LNG onto something different. But also in the current meta, I feel like there are very few things that will shut the Gnar down, especially when you think of typical counter picks you can just lane swap out of.
But you could pick something that's like very strong in the 1v1.
Tam
Because you already have the Nocturne and Ahri like a pick-oriented champion on the side of
like
LNG.
Like a Camille, for example.
Yeah, so...
There's definitely the argument that Breathe got like 3 kills early in that game and was just unkillable, right? So if you can put him behind, or at least not have him as massively ahead as he was in game 1, you can shut him down a little bit on the side lane. Alongside that, Gnar, Braum locked in for Weibo, so they're leaving mid and leaving jungle for their second rotation. Crisp on Braum, very aggressive as we've seen him be so often, doesn't have the same mobility as something like the Rakan, which means if he does get caught out in the enemy jungle where he likes to be, he's much more likely to die on this Braum.
Okay, so will be the Jax. I mean, the Jax was so effective last game. The Counter-Strike plus the Zhonya stasis in teamfights just buys you so much time and so much space. Of course, it was an accelerated Jax from the very beginning of the game. The lane swap really benefiting in last time around. So we'll see if they can manufacture that sort of lead for the Jax this time around again and have a similar influence.
Xiaohu's LeBlanc will be banned away. Weibo, they should consider banning supports now, and Rakan makes a lot of sense. The question is, do they consider Rel to be a problem? I mean, so far we've seen things like Rel left up. I'm debating if maybe they want, well, no, I was thinking about Poppy, but then like, usually the Weibo side would prefer to have the Poppy. The Brand ban away. Concerned about some potential AP junglers. Do you even like Nidalee into the composition that you see right now?
Not anymore, especially because Weibo have also really, like you're saying, lean more towards team fights. And that's why like a ban like the Brand does make a lot more sense. Because that has been a very successful champion form as well. Something that's much better for the team fights. Nidalee, of course, not so much for those team fights.
That's the approach. Okay, so they're just going to take Gala off of Ezreal. I mean, I think it makes sense when we think about the LPL Ezreals so far at this tournament. They've been pretty good, rather effective.
And if we just think about last game, Gala had so much damage.
But then Gala just gets his Kai'Sa.
Yes, he does.
It's such a strong pick. Something synonymous with him, both in the LPL and internationally.
I mean, already so successful this Worlds on it, and when you have some good dive already showing, I'm starting to get worried for Weibo.
I mean, to round out the LNG comp, you're just looking for more dive to follow that up. Leona, but Aurel. If they wanted a little bit more lockdown, they could consider the Nautilus. The Orianna, what we saw in game 1, you talked about it earlier, Medic. The problem with Orianna is that once that flash is gone, you're you're very susceptible to ganks. Weibo going with the Freljord theme and looking to round out their composition with a bit of engage. I was thinking they could run back the Amumu.
Again, very similar compositions here for Weibo. Setting up a solid team fight, very strong front line, shifting to the Maokai for the AoE on the ultimate. Very wide range here. That plus a Braum, you can really cover a lot of these jungle corridors. And even the Baron corridor, like we saw last time around, them successfully trying to like funnel LNG into small areas. But LNG, once again, look to split the map. They've got some good dive for themselves. Gala on his signature Kai'Sa here, and backed up with an Alistar. That lane is not strong early.
Yeah, that's a lane swap lane, if I've ever seen one. Get the hell out of there, leave Zika to deal with Light and Crisp, and just try and get yourself some gold on the other side of the map and some levels as well for the Alistar. Level 1, basically not a champion, as useful as a cow just standing out in a field. Level 2 becomes more of a bull that you have to try and avoid, try and dodge away from. But overall, these compositions, kind of what we have expected to see from these teams. LNG with a lot of dive. Zico again on the Jax had a great game too on it. Weibo, a little bit more team fight threat, although I will say their composition seems to lack a bit of damage. Ash doesn't have the highest damage output.
Honestly, that was my instinct too, Medic. I think the advantage I had in game 1 was because of how far ahead Breathe got. He was able to offer a lot of value still in the team fights. But once that initial burst is gone, your consistent damage becomes very dependent on Light. I will say that Tarzan provides a lot more single target lockdown this time around. But I feel like LNG just have so many options with their composition. Like, true, they could dive, but Kai'Sa and Ahri actually provide great poke. They have a lot of mobility, so they can just kind of keep you distracted around an objective while the Jax provides pressure on a side lane. They also have an easy ability to play the 1-3-1. Like, I feel like that LNG's composition just is very well-rounded. And so I quite like what they're bringing here in game 3.
Co pak jim, klasiku, jim to
I
bylo
like the
každý
look
den.
of Weibo's side too, though. I mean, Trinity Force is like the go-to now as well. So I feel like you're kind of, very well-rounded here too. Since you've got Trinity Force, Orianna scales super nicely and gives that bit of defense along with the offense. And Light here with the engage options on Ash. Again, so much has been determined by the openings of these games, though, and the lane swaps giving those advantage, setting them up for success. Now we're seeing the evolution of that. Like, all right, we're going to stack a defense here if you do come for the invade.
You love a Jat stat, don't you? You work with Jat a lot. Do you want a fun Jat stat between
Lane swap peak.
See them a lot.
Ale Braum Ash by to měli mačovat. Proč je tady Ash tak pozdě?
These two teams have played up against
Co dělala Ash, že tady je tak pozdě?
last 2 months as we see Tarzan. Oh, flash charm, flash away. Tarzan will escape. So yeah, 3 series against each other in the last 2 months. Guess how many game 3s Weibo have won out of those 3 series? Obviously not including this one.
I'm gonna say all of them?
No, 0.
Oh, it was one of the
LNG win every game 3 between the two teams. Our featured matchup is Xiaohu.
Tady by měli vyhrát, až Braum vyhraje. Tady vyhraje Weibo. Ash je level 1 úplně huge. Konečně to někdo mačuje, ten lane swap, hej. Dead, ne? Bisnul Kléčko. First blood, Gnarovi.
That was so bad for LNG. They started out by investing mid-lane flash for jungler flash, and then wrapping around, and the extra ward here giving the vision.
Proč ne Ash? Sidelane prostě mid-top mají větší carry potential než AD carry Ash. It's that simple. AD prostě nemá, ty hraješ AD proti Nocturne a hry Jax, ty nemáš shit. Může být 10-0 a prohraješ. Ty vole, ale tady je to furt prostě LPO! LPL vibes! LPO!
Walking down towards the bottom side of the charm. It's going to land onto Tarzan and he's down to LNG now, the ones on top.
What is going on? The top laners didn't even go to bot lane. They stayed mid. Breathe level 1, Zika level 1. The only level 2 in that whole exchange was Scout. He set up the charm. LNG find 2 kills in exchange.
No champions in the bottom lane until 2.5 minutes now when the top laners finally go down there. Both teams sticking with the play on top side. And you got to say, well,
Ty vole. Tady Gnar to posral a měl jít pomoct tomu, že jo? Gnar tam měl být pomoct s junglerem a se supportem.
Well, it's a brawl on the continued and extended level 1. Scout comes through, he hits the charm. Tarzan goes down, he had no flash, and we were talking in Champ Select. The first time around, the Jacks got a really big boost. All right, well, now they just got 2 more kills.
Co trolíš? Tam nepotřebuješ se vůbec registrovat, tam vůbec se nepotřebuješ registrovat, halo? Dneska je nějak moc NPCček v chatu. Nemá flash? Nemá flash? Je dead. Počkej, proč nedal kvéčko ten Maokai? On ho neměl? Halo?
Continue the play. Commit. So, Zika doesn't have teleport, but it's not going to matter too much. I mean, honestly, the wave getting pushed in now, he can run straight back from base and
to fakt to slyším poprvé, že se musíš na stream Elements lognout. To mi jde blbost.
Gets away from the possible punish as Tarzan wanted to take advantage of the minion wave.
So,
myslím si, že lognout Twitchem musí, je to protekce, aby nechali anonymní doma. A jo, OK, tak to je novinka, to jsem nevěděl, to se omlouvám, to běž. Jsem myslel, že to je prostě jenom, že tam zadáš nick a prostě čus. Úhlu, kterým by ho jebnul do piče, Maokai, když je tady a Jax je tady a dá kvéčko tímhle směrem, tak nokne Maokai pryč. Noknul by Maokai úplně v pohodě, správně. On pro ně dal to kvéčko na Nocturna, když ho fightil a pak to neměl to kvéčko. To je jediný vysvětlení, který tam bylo.
All in all, the game is still in a relatively even state.
Agreed.
It's just a matter of, in terms of the matchups, I think Weibo is happier to find themselves in standard lane.
And it's funny because
ty vole, Tobiáš dal subíčka, děkuju Tobiáši.
Original first blood hit too. So you know, he also got the injection of gold, and now he's getting like the ping pong of the minion wave back towards him. So will be really fun to keep track of this one, as we're going to stick with our flip-flopped Australian.
Jo, Jardo, chápu, no.
They call them thongs out there, don't they? Flip-flops in Australia.
Já nechápu svý tělo, někdy prostě...
We gotta call up our Australian now.
Někdy to jídlo s ním, někdy to s ním. Dneska jsem to nemohl sníst.
Flip-flop lanes, yeah, we should have got like Spawn or Atlas on the desk instead. Weibo here, okay, as you say, with these flip-flop lanes.
Tak, jak jsme na tom? 1-1. Gameska. Koukáte s Tomášem. Tomáš kouká se mnou první hru, druhou hru taky trošku, ale on je takový, že přijde, odejde, přijde, odejde.
Looks like LNG trying to bring everyone to a potential fight around that first neutral objective.
The Grub's priority is something we've seen a lot in this series. Weibo has a tendency to try and fight, but it does look like they're going to concede. The pings are coming down onto the dragon as Breed gets the push and Tarzan makes his way towards it.
And this ward right here that they have in that little curved brush in the river gives you so much confidence, you know. Not only do they have a good state to set it up, but they also have vision control of the only like surprise brush there.
And it will just be agreement.
Don't even try and contest. Move down to collect their dragon instead.
Už si zlábil ten kopec, ale co si přines, ne. Mám tam ještě tak 3 lžičky, nebo 4 lžičky. Někdy to sním, někdy ne. Dneska prostě mi to dělá problém sníst. Přežral jsem se. Chat, když jsme u toho Japingu, klasický Japing s Alešem Freezem Kněžinkem u World Streamu, kolik si dáváte kafí denně? Jakože, když si dáváte flat white, tak jsou to 2 espressa. Kolik si dáte espres denně třeba? Kofeinu, kolik víte? Miligramů kofeinu. 0? Kolik tady lidí píše 0, jebe vám? Tady polovina lidí píše 0. Jinak preso je 80, expreso je 80 mg, jo? Takže když si dáváte 3 kafe, tak 240 mg. Madmonk má 160 mg.
And ultimately, both these teams are going to prioritize farming. Tak
jim není říct, jak to je. Foresto, vzhledem k tomu, že si hned vydal hru, první hru na YouTube, správně, tak jak jsem ti to říkal, že to máš vydat od začátku, tak nebudu nic říkat a řeknu ti, dobrá práce, pane Foresto, a ano, je mi 30.
And as Weibo find themselves in the bottom side of the map, once they get that push, don't be surprised to see them return to this top side ready to contest grubs.
Já si třeba teďka dávám tak 320 až 400 mg denně, to už je... Full fight, Orianna Foreman! Jo! LNG jede domů!
Weibo defending the play, and they're going to take such a huge lead with all of this extra gold. I mean, the shockwaves from Xiaohu.
Nula mám Ritalin. Ritalin je to ekvivalent Aderalu v Evropě, nebo co to je?
Taking out the turret plate here and landing his Ash Arrow from downtown.
A phenomenal read from Weibo. 4 members were on the top side of the map, ready to react to that dive. The communication was so clear. And I have to wonder what LNG saw on the map to make them feel confident enough to make that play happen. They did have the stacked wave. I'm gonna keep my eyes on the
minimap. Tady to začne gnárem. Tady jsem byl takový překvapený, že se všichni nechají zaultit, když je to tak obvious. A musí okamžitě flashovat, to bylo mega weird. A tady fightí dál, pokračují fightem dál, že Alistar jde do toho, do Maokai, když prostě Maokai... Tady byla dobrý, že tady byla Orianna. Oni tady tu Oriannu neviděli. Ty vole. Oni nevěděli, že tady bude, on to dobře prediknul. Ten cápek vzadu, ten vepředu, ty pičo. Ten trenér, ty vole, ještě mi postoupil do top 4, já budu muset ještě koučat top 4, ty vole, a všichni ostatní, jo! Já mu prostě koučovat esport tým.
To be able to do it, and with the dragon already in their
to by až ještě giftnul sublíčka,
LNG of course here though, with this Nocturne and these solo laners going to try and make these sideline plays. Gala was massive.
Kde to máš? Z nějakého důvodu se dívá sám v pokoji, nebo sám na Discordu s lidma v pokoji. Tomáš totiž má takový svý, on má takový Discord homies. Se plánuješ vrátit ke coachingu? Ne, full-time streamer jsem už rok a půl a plánuji pokračovat buď full-time streamer. Pomalu, ale jistě se zlepšuju ve streamování. No, Tomášově nejsem dost dobrý, aby se koukal se mnou. Nešlo by dělat oboje, ne, nešlo. Stream sype, no nesype to tak jak esport, vydělám si méně než trénováním, ale prostě pracuji tak dvakrát méně, než když jsem esport coach. Dneska by mohl být gol s Herdinem.
And now they're in the first quarterfinal of Worlds 2024 against an opponent that they faced many times before
dáme golfíček s Herdinem.
And it's an incredibly competitive series. You never really know what level you're going to get from Weibo.
Jenom to ztroskotává na tom, že Herdin nechce hrát golf.
Continues to go that way. Coming into the series, they were 8-8 on the year. Now they're 9-9, splitting games even in this individual series. But back to the match at hand here. It is kind of on LNG to open up an area where they can actually create one of these plays, and they're actually going to jump on the dragon themselves. I think it should be a response from Weibo, even though you see Tarzan walking from Fountain right now. LNG
tady draka mají, ten drak je dobrý, Hextech je hodně dobrý pro jejich tým. Jax, Kai'Sa, Nocturne to strašně dobře využívají.
The only thing for LNG is they don't have anyone who can rotate up to top wave.
Turetu nikdo nevzal. Oh, tohle je huge pro LNG. Tohle byl mega huge play. Oh, oni to furt fightí. Ježiši. Tady jestli... Ok, asi v piči všichni. Tady, kdyby ty vole vzali tu first turetu, tak je to huge, ale nevzali, bohužel. Xiaohu to veme. Kam co dělá? A kde je Kajsa celou dobu? Kajsa nepomáhá, hituje. Kajsa legit prostě jenom hituje turet. No nic, vypadá to dobře, ale zase Xiaohu Oriana TT. Before the enemy can respond, but Weibo do respond with lethal force. Weibo counter, nechci. Orime, bohužel máš OCD. Bohužel máš OCD. Já nemám OCD. Tohle bylo dobrý, ale tady to TP je annoying, že tady Xiaohu okamžitě TPuje. So critical there that he is able to help defend this, and this Oriana collecting 2 more kills, just getting richer and richer and richer in this. Weibo able to chase down the extra stragglers after the LNG play. You gotta be so quick. When you're playing against a Nocturne. Mě by zajímalo, kolik má Herdin na Throne and Liberty playtime. A pak by mě zajímalo, kolik má Jirka Král na Throne and Liberty playtime.
4 kills over to Weibo, 4 kills now on the Oriana as well. Já to nezvládám! Bounty that's been there through his many years in the LPL, and now a 1.5k lead for Weibo. They have strong top, strong mid, 80 carry in a good spot as well. Herďa je normálně Herďa je gamer srdcem i myslí. On chodí spát v 6 ráno. On zapne stream, on celý den hraje hry s jeho manželkou, to je normálně W couple, oni celý den hrajou videohry, hrajou spolu videohry a potom Herdin zapne stream, přijde pozdě na stream, zapne ten stream, hraje 4 hodiny videohry, vypne ten stream a pak jde zase hrát do 6 do rána další videohry se svojí manželkou. On prostě hraje od rána do večera a já to respektuju. To je pravej gamer. Pravej gamer. Doslova dream.
To je cool. No mně to jako dream nepřijde, ale je to doslova pravej gamer. NFCB, děkuju za Prime, děkuju za Prime. A jako je to dobré hrát, když máš přítelkyni, která s tebou hraje jako hry, ale... Nedávná aktivita, 150 hodin za poslední 2 týdny. 127 hodin má Herdin. 127 hodin za 2 týdny. To je kurva dost, ne? Jebeti, to je šíleně moc. Však já mám za celý měsíc 180 hodin streamování. A on má za 2 týdny 127. Ty vole.
Safety also known as the bush by the enemy red.
Yes, that too. He's a man that likes to play on the edge.
9 hodin denně hraje Throne and Liberty. To ti jebe, ne?
They have to be very respectful of the potential sideline collapse.
Tyhle Herdina to sežral i s Navijákem to Lineage 3. Ale já se nedivím, kdybych začal hrát Throne and Liberty, tak mě to taky sežere s Navijákem. Já miluju Lineage. Ale to je tak nezábavná hra na stream, že to prostě nemůžu dělat.
Does the same as Weiwei's if a 50-50 was to occur at the next Drake. They still have the Rift Herald in pocket as well if Weibo wants to try and use that to develop some pressure towards the mid lane, but Hung, oh, that arrow went backwards. He's looking for the stop here.
On ho stopnul toho hry, actually. Tohle je sus. Tohle je sus. Tohle je hodně sus. Ale jak Broken je Braum. Ty prostě od Brauma neutečeš. 5-0 Oriana, to bude štípačka.
An easy pick for Weibo as Hng chooses not to
tak
flash.
to, že feedlej ten Xiaohu tak moc, tak je game winning.
Scout cross mapping on the top side, but the Herald dropped as well. Weibo gonna get
Front je lineage 3, ano, Front and Liberty je lineage 3, proto tomu říkám lineage 3. Kámo, oni tady prostě Xiaohu nasadil prostě carry pants a dává 1v9. On je všude. Kam? Ty vole, jaký Drift King. Ty pičo, viděli jste toho Brauma? Yo! Yo! Cápek to tam zahnul jak hajzl. Pozor. A to je štípačka, minus Jax. Ale vemou draka. Teď záleží, jestli umřou 2 lidi, nebo jeden. Drak za 1 kill, to je good. Arrow. Bom. A to je stunutý na 3,5 vteřiny, max stun. No, má Mercs, ale.
The twisted advance enough to spell his demise as Weibo might turn their attentions towards the top side, but no Baron for a minute.
6-0 Oriana je hrozně nepříjemný.
That was such a funny fight to watch though, because it starts out with like a kaiju fight of
Xiaohu dneska jede, ale já se divím, že mu furt nechávají Orianu, on reálně hraje fakt jenom Orianu prostě. Ten Herald prostě. To tam blokuje. To byl dobrý kolaps na Jaxe, ale oni pak díky tomu získají Nocturne.
But the objective goes the way of LNG. They stop any sort of that dragon stacking that Weibo would go for.
Ale 2 killy za draka už není good.
You blow your Nocturne spell shield, it opens up for light, and he hits those.
The Ash Arrows have proven valuable for Weibo as they find another victorious fight. Crucially though, LNG slowing down those dragons means that they can buy
draky jsou
themselves more time.
irrelevant.
They're not at risk of the soul
By měli
going the
druhýho
way of
draka v
Weibo
20.
anytime
minutě
soon.
anyway, to je
The
irrelevant.
greater problem is the Baron spawning.
Baron je problém, no.
And the greater problem is going to be, how do you ever win a full team fight versus Weibo? That is 6 kills on Xiaohu now, on Oriana. Like, he is going to be massive. He's going to have a Leandries done very shortly.
Líbí se,
here.
je to celkem broken ty malá zóny, aby měli by to nerfnout. Měli by nerfnout tu malou zónu, protože teďka ty lidi strašně abuzou, že si topaři midaři kupují prostě 1600 goldovou zóny a pak dostaví zbytek itemů a ten... Je, že oni si prostě koupí tady tohle a pak staví Leandris prostě, víš? A mají zónu. A jeden fight mají zónu a ta zóna je prostě game winning. A dává jim to strašně moc statů. Zónu by si měl mít jenom za full item. Když si byla 700 pade, ale nedávala ti žádný staty, víš, ta zóna. Teď ti to dává armor AP. A docela dost armoru a AP. Ash má flash? Flashnul bad. Flashnul hodně bad. LNG tady comebackuje. Proč neflashnul přes tu zeď, hej? Tady mohl flashnout přes zeď.
As the Nocturne ult went off, so he had to wait the whole thing. And LNG, they use those seconds. They jump on Weibo. They jump on Light. They get the kills onto the bottom line members, and now they're pressuring. They're threatening the Baron, trying to draw Weibo into the darkness.
Jo, stopwatche byly dřív i level 1. To bylo hrozně. Tyva LNG to tady comebackujou. Tohle je hrozně dobrý play. A ta Light měl strašně špatnou pozici. To je free Baron. To je huge comeback. To je huge comeback. A Alistar umře, to je jedno. Dobrý comeback.
On the side of LNG. It feels like
AD Carry udělal jednu chybu, okamžitě umře. A insta Baron.
And LNG responded flawlessly. Early use of the Nocturne ultimate to bring the TP in, force Weibo to split apart, and Light was left.
Mně se strašně líbí, jak prostě ty hry jsou back and forth a reálně prostě někdo udělá. LPL je v tomhle strašně dobrý, já nechápu, že to má tak málo diváků. Oni můžou být 4000 down, ten LPL tým, a oni to comebacknou, protože prostě ví, kdy mají fightit a kdy kdo dělá chybu, tak to punishujou. Dívej, oni prostě tady comebacknou celý fight, tady acenou prostě. Čus. A ještě, jestli se vemou i Zhao, tak čeká. Tady to postrali. Teda Gnar je hrozně silný, tady bacha. A víš, že prostě oni byli celou dobu 3K gold behind, udělá jednu chybu, okamžitě fight, okamžitě comeback.
Split apart. Breathe wasn't anywhere near the fight. He wasn't present to protect them from the collapsing flank. And Zika once again doing so much work on this Jax.
Oh, they are keeping
ale na Worlds hrajou LCK líp ty týmy než LPL, ale LPL to teďka hodně comebackují. Ale to je vždycky, já nevím proč, ale LPL týmy první týden až 2 týdny je hrozně inký a pak začnou hrát dobře. Zatímco LCK týmy hrajou hned ze začátku dobře. Gala Kajsička je good, no. Ale tady to reálně prostě nic neudělal tady, jo, tady to setuplo celý jeho tým. On his head. They want the Orianna, but they just can't. Sopráku ten doktor se jmenoval ten fyzioterapeut. Ale to byla doktorka, to byla jeho jako kdyby doktorka v jeho kruhu. No prostě to byl cápek, co je fyzioterapeut v českém národním hokejovém týmu. Kolár se jmenuje? Nebo prostě takový plešoun. A on měl nějakou svoji známou kolář a on měl nějakou svoji známou doktorku a tam mě vyšetřila. A byla v Motole, v nemocnici v Motole. Kotlár ne, to je... To máš jakoby člověk, který je strašně užitečný pro celou Českou republiku a celou terapii a pak máš vězně. To bych nerad vidím tohle porovnání. To je jak, vole, Bůh s ďáblem.
Let's take a look at where we are. 1,000 gold between the two teams, 25 minutes into Drake's apiece. Recently it's felt like LNG
7:04 Orianna, 650 goldů shutdown. Miffy máš koučovat, vole, FlyQuest, nehrát Deadlock, ty vole.
I think LNG fans will rejoice in seeing a lovely sight, and that is
16:42. FlyQuestu asi skončili skrimy a Miffy okamžitě jde hrát Deadlock. Ani se nekouká na Worlds. Ty jedou domů, chat. Mají Genji v neděli, jedou domů.
Without the outer towers, he is very vulnerable. Orianna is always vulnerable in these side lanes, and so you see him having to wait. The little tiger here in the brush, waiting to collect minions.
That's his natural habitat, though, Cody.
Ale jako 400 už se zmenšili ty shutdowny. Já jsem si říkal, že Orianna má tak velký shutdown jako. A Gnar měl taky velký shutdown.
Of the Nocturne, of the Ahri, of the Kai'Sa just diving in on a side lane is ever looming.
See how well Weiwei rotates between the two sides, because wherever this Nocturne goes, that's where the big potential play for LNG is. He's the big gold holder, and he's the one with the big team fight changing ultimate.
Xiao, he should be extremely close to completing the Zhonya's. A very important item.
Does he get it in the next minute?
He definitely should, yeah. You can see him recalling now. He caught the top wave. That should have been enough gold for him to complete it. The reason why I mention it is because on Orianna, you've already talked about the low mobility. It's super important with this Jax and Nocturne. Well, literally everyone on LNG trying to dive on top of you. And crucially, you talked about Weiwei before. This Maokai feels very squishy. Like, that is not much of a front line that LNG have to get through, and with the amount of mobility, the Braum will be the greater problem, and Crisp's positioning is going to be crucial to provide that peel for his carries.
I think the one thing LNG do have to be a little bit careful for in looking for their next play is funneling a bit too much into these jungle corridors.
Yeah.
Because while you mentioned Tarzan may be pretty far behind on this Maokai and kind of squishing himself, the ultimate still fills up an entire jungle corridor. And Braum can still fill up this entire area.
To hodně
So
zpomalilo
Weibo can
teďka.
try and use these big
Čekají na
AoE
chybku
ultis, this
oba dva
zone
týmy.
control, to try and funnel in.
Taky spawn barona toho forsne.
LNG though,
Nějaký ty chybičky.
already control wards down on the Baron.
Kajsa by mohla divnout Gnára, no. Tohle dělá dobře ten hover. Oni ji vidí, ale bohužel. Hover nul Jaxa, aby vzal 700 goldů, to bylo hodně dobré. Jak ona může, víš co, Jax může stanout Gnára a Kajsička na něj okamžitě zaultí.
There's no arrow for light now, so maybe LNG will see a window where they can look for something. Weibo starts to step up towards the Baron, try and regain control of this area of the map. Zika going in onto Breathe, he's a level down right now. Breathe gets the Gnar back and forces Zika to just farm up those minions instead. Scout still looking for that flank. A little bit of vision for LNG. Just behind enemy lines here as Chris walks across it to get back towards
Což má Maokai Randuin, z největší pravděpodobností jenom na ten slow toho, ty aktivky. Movement speedu. Protože má face rush, je hrozně squishy a chce prostě kajtit.
Zika jumps in and Light is here to react. Zika has to flash away.
That's the Baron though, that's the go for Baron. Light is stuck bot lane.
Kajsa má hrozně velký damage na Barona, actually. Uvidíme, tohle vypadá dobře, tohle vypadá hodně dobře pro LNG. Tady nemá jak, Alistar to zase, jo. Alistar je v tomhle dobrý strašně a přes něj nemůžeš projít prostě. Oni prostě sacrifacnou Alistara a mají Barona z toho. A tohle je dobrý, co dělá LNG, by the way. Že oni prostě ví, že jdou na draka, tak zůstávají na topu a běží na tier 3 top, aby tady divenuli a dívají jsou out of vision a čekají na Gnara. A ona zaultí. A jup, vidíš, bum, a čus. Tohle bylo smart as fuck, by the way. Ale tady TP answer. Od Xiaoho nemůže nic. A tohle bylo super smart. Super smart.
What a bait from LNG. Dodge from the Asharo into a setup play.
Dělej backflip za každého barona. Co si myslíš, že Sam Briggs je? I show speed?
Asserting their dominance here in game 3.
That was so sick. Scout was looking for it the entire time. They
know
exactly what your play is going to be.
Díky tomuhle crashnou vlnu, teda crashnou baseku. A vidíš, že oni prostě tohle jsou nejlepší play, já tyhle play úplně miluju. Vždycky, když ty predikneš, co udělá enemy team, a podle toho se přizpůsobíš a uděláš play, to jsou nejlepší play. A potom, co tam umřel Alistar a oni vzali Barona, tak bylo strašně obvious, že že půjdou prostě buď push mid, anebo draka. A oni predikli, že půjdou draka, což šli. A díky tomu zůstali na topu. Hrozně pěkný.
Kajsa and Nocturne are always threatening these ultis
0-6 Alistar, irrelevant. Support může být 0-20 a vyhrát hru. Proto je ta role tak strašně broken. Misnutej stun.
He's going to try and get the counter strike off in
Misnutej
time. First wave strikes away. The arrow going down as well. It's wide. Zika surviving for a hell of a long time. While Sky pushes in the top side.
Zase bude mít helikoptéru a zase se healne trošku. Ty healy jsou crazy z toho helikoptéru. Velmu inhibitor za to, což je v pohodě. Altrož díky za 15. Jak OP je top lane je hrozně OP.
Like, that's how difficult he is to kill, and it's not going to get any easier in the fights to come as well. We talked about how in the draft both teams had options, but one of the things that Medic, you were concerned about was would Weibo have enough damage? They barely had enough damage to kill Zika. What about the rest of LNG?
Jo, Ečko nedává heal, ale Ečko jsi nesmrtelný a ten Thunder Sky dává heal.
And it all comes off the back of that single top lane dive. The way in which LNG was so quickly able to punish it, convert it into Baron, and the way they've played around Baron since then, incredible stuff from them. And that fun fact from you, Medic, may end up ringing true once again.
2 series in the last 2 months, both times Weibo have lost game 3. LNG have come up the victors. The second one, obviously, in the regional, gone a little bit trickier for Weibo. They had just played the day before.
Ludens a hry nemá Lignans. Já jsem viděl, buď to dělá Scout, nebo to dělal, jo, Scout to podle mě dělá každou hru, že staví Ludens Liandry, což je zajímavý. Jako Liandry je hrozně OP item. Za mě, já bych vždycky raději postavil Liandry než Ludens. Ludens je useless. Kompetitivu, prostě je vždycky lepší Liandrys.
Such good side lane play from them, as they have done with Scout. Always loving those side lane resources.
Ale Liandry si dal taky manu, ne? Kde mám bratra, faláka se ve svém pokoji. Leandris už nedává manu. A dávalo to manu někdy.
So crucially, Xiaohu is about 300 gold off
tak
his
teď to chápu už.
I think you wait for that amount of gold and let him buy it before you fight.
He's pinging top wave. He'd love to try and get it. You can see that that's what they're waiting for. It's such a massive item
Minutu soula, Ocean soula.
They're gonna need it to stand a
Minutu a
chance.
půl Baron. Líbí se mi, jak ty hry jsou fakt close celou dobu a vždycky někdo může vyhrát. Oba týmy můžou vyhrát.
Charm wide from Scout.
And look, there's the ping onto the top wave. He's going to it quickly. He knows where Scout is now. He can try and get that gold.
There's so much darkness for Weibo. If they do try and step in towards that Drake, it would be soul for them, only third for LNG.
Yeah, maybe they give this one up. Maybe it's not worth it.
Devcap je strašně důležitý item, já nevím co mají, někteří midaři mají krámy a hrajou vegan build a nikdy nestaví devcap a já jsem z toho vždycky na tiltu.
Xiaohu sitting in base, he must be incredibly close.
The deathcap comes through for Xiaohu. Has the control ward as well. Zika chunked out to about 2/3 HP.
Minignar je too strong.
Just wide of Zika and Scout, who form a little conga line and avoid the arrow's embrace. Now Drake up 2 seconds.
That's a critical mistiming now for
To je jedno kvéčko od Ahry, skoro půlka HP na Malkovi. Crazy. Ten devcap na Ahry dává hrozně velký damage. Oni to nemůžou contestit vůbec.
And no flash on Tarzan. There's no way for him to get into the pit. Baron up in 15 seconds time. You give up the ghost of this Drake.
A proč má Ahry 3000 HP?
Make sure you secure as many buffs, as much gold as you can before the inevitable fight.
Teďka Scout je nezabitelný. 3 ultimátky, flash, 3k HP. On by to musel strašně naintit.
The approach to the Baron is a difficult one for Weibo. They have no deep vision, no potential flank wards. And Zika maintains pressure on the side lane.
Jo, LNG teďka mají permapoke s Kajsičkou. Permapoke, má void stav už ta Kajsa. Škoda, že nemají teda blue buff. Že tady nestýli blue buff, to by bylo hodně dobrý pro Kajsu. Ale tady oni nemají moc engageu prostě. Weibo, mají problém. To je vždycky problém, že když enemy tým má Kajsu a ty máš málo engageu, tak Kajsa může 1v9 vyhrát hru, protože jí stačí prostě jenom poke.
He sits in, makes it so difficult for Weibo to know if they can engage or not, because where's Zika? Is he flanking us? The arrow wide
teď trefí další dvojitývečko. Už je napoukovaný jak hajzl.
LNG will back away.
It's difficult because that is really the most like guaranteed attempt that they can make is just keep throwing out these ash arrows. Maokai ult is so slow moving. Breathe doesn't have extra time to come up and be the one to start it out and look for it. Even though he does have his flash ready, has to constantly attend to these side lanes because LNG will not relent in their side lane pressure, and so they keep getting the better setup. It's so tense, Vedius.
Yeah, it's the few moments before the drop on a roller coaster, right? We all hold our breath and hope.
Ash má taky 3k skoro 3k HP s BTčkem.
Crucially, the Weibo have found access into the pit.
Začínají. Ale oni musí začít, jinak dostanou napoukováno. Tohle je docela, ale je to nebezpečný. Tady to vypadá nebezpečně. Flash charm na Orianu. Zonia. Kajsa dead. Ty vole, oni to naintili. Oni to naintili. Gala to naintil. Ale dobrý start Barona, museli startovat. Jinak by dostali outpoknuto od Kajsičky. Ty vole, tam jsem ani neviděl, co se stalo Galovi.
Weibo draw LNG into the Baron pit. They get the Baron, they get the team fight, and they're gonna get the dub.
Ty vole, ale jaký hry. A Xiaohu přežil Flash Charm.
Curses be damned. Game 3 curse you save Eddie. Apparently Weibo just don't care. Weibo are one game away
8-0-8 Xiaohu. Kámo, nedávejte Orianu Xiaohovi. Já nevím, prostě furt mu to dávaj. Ten cápek hraje každou hru Orianu a každou hru na tom čampuje 1v9 a ty lidi mu to nebanujou.